Welcome back, everyone. The E-levy remains topical tonight as we continue to see stiff opposition to the passage of the bill. Earlier in the day, the youth wing of the National Democratic Congress hit the streets of Accra to protest the passage of the levy being pushed by government, describing it as daylight robbery. The minority in Parliament have given indication that it would continue to oppose the passage of the levy. And so there you see in your shots the demonstration that was held today. Meanwhile, government remains resolute. It says it will be able to rake in the 6.9 billion cedi projected revenue from the controversial electronic transaction levy. This is because all the agitations by stakeholders have been addressed. Speaking at the Economic Governance Platform Public Forum on the E-levy, a Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. John Kuma, explained that this is the way to avoid further borrowing for critical development projects. We have an extensive report on the event.
The forum, organized by the Economic Governance Platform, Advocates for Christ Ghana, and supported by Joy Business, was focused on the country's rising debt levels as well as the electronic transaction levy. Many have raised concerns about the ability of the country to raise the targeted revenue due to some pressures on businesses and the economy as a whole. However, Deputy Minister of Finance John Kuma disagrees.
If anybody tells you that we are not going to get that figure, tell him it's not true. We believe in what we have done. It is a very, very conservative figure. And even we know that once you introduce a tax, there will be attrition rate. People will initially resist and try to avoid it and all that. Even that has been factored to about 24% of attrition rate. We factored all those things in coming into. And sometimes I'm very careful at pointing to that because the next time the headline will come, Puma says that Momo users have been reduced by 24%, which is not what I'm saying. I'm only saying that in our revenue projections, we did attrition rate with that figure so that in case we want to hit a certain amount that we expect to get, and it's even dropping, we will still be within the range.
He also used the platform to reject calls by some sections of society that the country should go back to the International Monetary Fund for an economic program.
Nothing wrong with discipline, but there is social and political and economic consequences for going through an IMF program. And you and I know that before the NDC government left, we had formed Graduate Unemployment Association in our country. About 100,000, we had to introduce what we call NAPCO to absorb about 100,000 graduates who had completed school for 3-4 years with no opportunity in the public sector. A lot of consequences will come when you want to go through a certain path.
Meanwhile, the country representative of the International Monetary Fund, Dr. Albert Tunamama, has urged stakeholders, including the government, to focus on policy measures that will revive the economy rather than going to the IMF for an economic program. According to him, although an IMF program is a good one for the short term, it is not sustainable if drastic policy measures are not followed.
So I think there is so much emphasis on the conditionalities that it seems that they come out of nowhere. These are negotiated reforms that need to happen in order to get yourself out of the difficult situation. And for this reason, we have no doubt that the program with the IMF will be extremely helpful in the current situation. But we are mindful, and we've had these conversations, that that's not the direction that the government wants to take. And I think that, and I'll call on all the stakeholders, the focus should be on what else needs to happen. Fine, the IMF is not a solution. Let's focus on the reforms. Let's focus on the spending streamlining. Let's focus on the policy package that is out there to fix the problems that I have listed. That's where the focus should be.
Economics Professor Godfred Bokpin challenged government to block the financial loopholes in the tax system to raise the necessary revenue rather than going ahead with the E-levy.
The point that we are making here is that we all agree Ghana needs more money. We need to scale up our tax effort and all of that. The mode, the medium, the strategy to achieve that must be equitable, must be progressive, and must also recognize the realities on the ground that, as Prof. Ackah said, that whilst government is struggling at the aggregate level, it's a reflection of the individuals, households, and also firms. And therefore, whatever tax measures you introduce to solve your problem at the apex level must reflect reality in an inequality worsening pandemic that we have. So how do you do that progressively? I put here close leakages. Kwachi also talked about that. You know, in Ghana, we lose as much as we are able to collect. This tax effort is approximately 13% of GDP. Ghana loses as much as that. That actually, when you look at that, it's in excess of 77 billion cedis in current terms. So what it means is that we could actually measure on closing those leakages rather than measuring on a minor, which is E-levy. That is where we need to focus our attention. You know, if we don't do that, and we can introduce additional tax handles, and it will still not solve the problem. We'll be here. And why am I saying so? It's not 1.75 or even 1.5. Last year, government introduced COVID levy. 1%. Okay. Sanitation levy. We prayed to God and then we moved on. But this one, we are not only praying, we are taking some practical steps that it doesn't happen, this E-levy.
Professor Charles Ackah, speaking on domestic revenue mobilization, rejected claims that the only alternative to revive the economy is through the electronic levy.
How do we bring in the property taxes? How do people live in this country in luxury, in estates, 7-bedroom houses, and they don't pay taxes? By the way, as I conclude, the European Union trying to introduce more taxes, 3 more taxes. None of them is E-levy. None of them is E-levy. It's a tax on carbon. So that is targeting rich people who are driving high-value big V8, the airline industry that have money and they are polluting the environment. It's a tax on multinational companies that are rich and have made a lot of profit even through this COVID. So for example, we can talk about this COVID when hotels are collapsing. Many of us were forced to online activities, which means that the telecoms have made a lot of profit. Why can't we sit with them and say, no, you must contribute to the recovery of the economy? Everybody, all school children were online. So whilst hotels were collapsing and schools were collapsing, telcos were making money. Some sectors benefited. Check the statistics, you will see that some sectors benefited a lot. These are the sectors that are being taxed in Europe. They are not going to tax mobile transactions. I don't think any economists will agree to that. So I think that, yes, government definitely need more money. We need to all pay taxes, and we need to make sure that the tax system is fair. And we should target those who are not paying taxes and bring them in. And let's think about innovative ideas. By the way, why do we have to abolish the road tolls if we need more money? And if the excuse is that it's causing traffic, is there no other innovative ways of solving the traffic problem? Because that's money that we are throwing away for this month. I don't agree that because of traffic, then we should say anybody can go to the airport and that they should not pay airport tolls or parking tolls. There's any way we should think about it. Other countries have those taxes. You can go to Hong Kong, go to China, go to Europe, go to America. They have road tolls, and it's not causing traffic. So I disagree.
Executive Director of Pen Plus Byte, Juliet Amwa, expressed confidence that the suggestions made at the forum will be considered in the ongoing E-levy debate.
Had some kind of raging debates about Ghana's current debt crisis. The government of Ghana has proposed to impose an E-levy on all electronic and financial transactions. Citizens are split in opinion, and we know that there's a cohort that thinks that we might as well just go to the IMF now, and that rather than tax the electronic pockets of citizens. There's another cohort, obviously, that thinks that there's nothing essentially wrong with an e-tax, but there is everything wrong with an e-levy. And there's yet a third cohort of Ghanaians who are just waiting in the wings to, as it were, take us back to the cash-wielding economy that we were a few years ago. And this last group is mostly traders and service providers. They're just waiting in the wings. Now, in the ensuing noise of that debate, it's easy to lose objectivity. It's easy to lose the integrity that is required for such an endeavor as we have on our hands. And it's also easy to lose the kind of unflinching resolve that is needed to push through to the right decisions and actions. So today, the Economic Governance Platform, the Advocates for Christ and our media partners, Joy FM Multimedia Group, are here, and we want to collectively provide a space that is safe and nurturing, where we can discuss, devoid of all the noise that's happening, findings from the civil society space and also from the academic community. We want to proffer some considered solutions and strategies to the government of Ghana.
The theme for the public forum is E-levy, IMF, or what sustainable solutions to Ghana's debt crisis.
Well, whilst we talk about the economy, prices of some essential goods and services, including food, transportation and rent, have shot up, with inflation soaring, impacting the cost of living. How are you coping? Emmanuel Bright Kweku engaged a section of the public in Kumasi and has come through with this report.
That is Abdul Wahab Abubakari, a bicycle repairer at Bobine, a suburb of the Asokore Mampong municipality. The 48-year-old and his family live in an uncompleted house.
Uncompleted building. Kanya ni ha, toilet ni ha, bibie ni ha. Na ya wo be ma de. Won si obo anye bibia enyi yi. E ka se me va 20 million kura mra na ma me dan over me bi. So me ni bi, dia ade chia me nkwala di ko school kura e den ma me. Na me kwa rent dan.
The father of four says funding for his family is expensive with his daily commission of 10 Ghana cedis.
Bicycles na me repair. Na bicycles no e ma de bia. And mother bia, it me once with man ya bear with 10 cedis be no one article.
Working formerly as an apprentice at a mill, he managed with his meager for his financial upkeep. Now, he has to resort to other alternative businesses to make ends meet.
10 cedis, we everybody say, Uncle be say, and a woman be say. In the course, you may be bad now, don't wash him. I'm on for 2 blocks or more tran. Now don't walk with him. Send a baby pon, Benyo Kakrawa, and yes, Oka's a woody basket, and Chikurana Massa. We go 3 days, no young Scamma on Colas or Munko school.
Similar to Wahab's situation, Adam relies on his wife for his family's upkeep, a situation he describes as demeaning as the head of the family.
Sometimes me in a boy, me say me age more. Really support me. A month met me. Ben, you back a cabuma and roof family and
The father of 6 has been working as a tailor for 40 years, a profession he tells me hitherto could cater for the basic needs of his family. But today, the economic situation in the country is crippling his business.
Ebabano obecharge die ajiskene die odiskene wi no afena as fofra besamba bia high bia konini ndi yesia o government ankasa on we obu bia mrefom ko yesia uskeni su yeni su.
Ghana's poverty rate is estimated to have slightly increased from 25% in 2019 to 25.5% in 2020. For persons like Wahab and Adam, their only hope is for a bright light at the end of the tunnel. For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright Kweku, Kumasi.
Well, a bright light at the end of the tunnel, that's what we all hope. Inflation currently standing at 13.9%. It could go up further in the coming months, and so we're watching that for you. You're watching Business Live. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Business Live. Let's turn to some stories from the mining sector. The Ghana Integrated Aluminum Development Corporation, JIADEC, is working with other government agencies to ensure protection of the environment in the mining of bauxite. This is under the takeoff phase of the mineral resource estimate at the Inahene in Pasasu range to validate bauxite reserves in the area. Chief Executive Officer of GIADEC, Michael Ansah, says they are working with relevant agencies to ensure the mine activation does not affect the environment. Nana Ojima joined the leadership of GIADEC to inspect work done so far at the range and filed this report.
The Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, GIADEC, is currently undertaking 4 projects being executed under the integrated aluminium industry. This forms the nucleus of efforts to build an integrated aluminium industry, which includes bauxite mining, alumina refinery and smelting. Presently, works being done at Inyenehini Mpasasu Range forms the Project 2 of the full plan, with the hope of full mining by next year. Mr. Ansah explains.
So we're developing this concurrently. Project 2 has been signed, and that's why we've started. We've seen the work that's going on the hills. We're here at the sampling site where all the samples are being taken and refined and for testing and everything. All the preparation is happening here. So the work relating to Project 2 is ongoing. Project 3, we are in the final stages of negotiations that will lead to signing an agreement that will bring a partner to work with us in developing Project 3, which is the rest of Ninahin and also the Etiwa facilities. So we're looking at all of this concurrently. And I just want to assure Ghanaians that this development is going to be very consistent. It's going to be driven as a multi-year development plan.
Work at Inyenehini Mpasasu Range is being undertaken by Rockshore International with support from Sahara Mining. Felix Aziz Thompson is supervising geologist.
You will see that there are 3 main zones of bauxite here. So it's encouraging. Between 0 to maximum, about average 20 meters, it's all bauxite. As soon as you enter into the clay, we don't go more than 1 meter into the clay.
Meanwhile, GIADEC has assured the adoption of acceptable practices in bauxite mining with deployment of best technology in the field.
First of all, adhering to international best practice. We're also being supervised by the regulatory agencies in Ghana. So whether it's Water Commission, EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, Forestry Commission, etc., all these have regulations that we have to work with. And then the international best practice allows us to make sure that what we're doing is leading edge in terms of what is happening in bauxite mining. And that's what we want to do in terms of reforestation, in terms of responsible management of the environmental issues around mining.
Nana Ojima, Kumasi.
Well, still related to the extractive sector, the Canadian community in Ghana, business community in Ghana, is calling on the government to review the value-added tax VAT on exploration activities in the extractive sector. According to Trade Commissioner at the Canada High Commission, Peter Fiamor, VAT is a disincentive to many Canadian businesses seeking to invest in Ghana. He spoke at a forum organized by the Canada-Ghana Chamber of Commerce. There is more in this report. Trade Commissioner at the Canadian High Commission, Peter Fiamor, is urging government to create a favorable environment for more investments. According to him, although the Canadian business community has invested about $1 billion Canadian in Ghana's mining sector, it is concerned about the high cost of operations.
We are trying to grow bilateral trade relations between Ghana and Canada, of course. So in order to do that, we have to look at Canada's areas of expertise, where we think Canada has a strong role to play. And one of the areas is in the mining sector. In the mining sector, there's almost close to $1 billion Canadian dollars invested in Ghana already. I mean, if you need to attract investment in terms of in exploration or exploiting new resources, we have to look at the value-added tax on exploration, on some exploration activities. Those would have to be looked at critically, because that is a disincentive to attract new dollars in exploiting for new resources. Exploration is risky. About 99% of what is exploited doesn't lead to anything. Some businesses, because of this VAT, will prefer to go to Burkina, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire. Politically, they may not be safe havens, but it's a cost-benefit analysis. So they are willing to take the political risk, but obviously the economic conditions are right for them to go into those countries.
The Canada-Ghana Chamber of Commerce held a forum to educate its members and gather concerns on how to improve operations of members. President of the Chamber, Alexander Norte, advised members to be intentional about basic requirements of owning a business that would have an international appeal.
Most businesses, they need to do the basics. They need to make sure they have a business website, have a business card, have a business profile, the basics that they can, that other businesses can refer to. Apart from what they're saying, they have to go and do their online checks and see that, yes, this business is actually in business and what they say is what they can read online. This business environment sometimes don't ask certain businesses to have their registrations or to pay their taxes and to have their environmental licenses and so forth. Yes. The Canadian market, normally, if you're in the construction business, they look for things like quality and safety manual, something as simple as that.
And that's Business Live. Thanks for watching, everyone. Just quickly to let you know that Joy Business Social is coming up in 30 minutes across our social media platforms. We are discussing transforming your business, the social media magic, with Rhoda Odoe, CEO of HypeNet Digital Ghana, and Henry Kobler, lead developer, Eyes of Africa. Do join us if you can. That's our program. We'll see you same time tomorrow.